fire as we search for the light in the dead of the night. Will we rise above the days to come? Will it be enough? Or will we walk away this time? Look to your left, to your right, there by your side. 'Cause we all face the fire as we search for the light in the dead of the night. Feel that rush through time. Can you feel this newfound change? Only yourself are here again. Feel the rush, feel tight. 'Cause here begins a newfound strength. Find yourselves out here. We won't be the same again. If you had it all, but you looked the fall in the eye, could you walk away this time? Do you realize, do you recognize it's never over? 'Cause we all face the fire as we search for the light on the edge of the night. Feel that rush through time. Can you feel this newfound change? Only yourself are here again. Tell me, where do I go? Tell me, where do I take us? Your heart is starting to slow. May the water be safe. As I
Thanks.
dive in, bloodstains washing underneath the waves. I'll be reaching out to keep you safe. As we fall, I can't hold on much longer. We're drifting down to the other side.
Kerem, I think it's time.
It's time?
Yes, it is.
The time for what?
Tine versus Crater, everyone.
Okay, let's go, boys.
We have a Division 2
No.
match on our hands. That was the most cringe intro.
That was no, that was bad. That was
Yeah.
bad. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second game of today. Of course, it's gonna be Greater, not Greater, maybe. Who knows? It's gonna be Crater though, playing against Tejn Esport, which isn't pronounced Tejn, as I was told by our lovely people in the production. So I was completely wrong in the first game. So that's always fun. There was also a few other names that we're probably going to be butchering, but hey, you know, maybe we're gonna be
fine.
good.
It's still fine. I think this intro kind of covers us
It's
for
okay.
everything else we do. But yeah, let's actually talk about the match and not use some intros that took me too long to come up with.
Okay.
But yeah, we've got Tejn versus Crater, and Tejn, they are undefeated yet. And well, Lyra, they just went undefeated literally an hour ago. So if you're Tejn, you really want to match that.
Yeah, Tejn, they have been one of the most dominant teams in Division 2 thus far, similarly to Lyra, and I mentioned this in the first game, the first series of this afternoon, but there is a possibility that Tejn are going to be playing Lyra in 2 weeks. Of course, that's not a possibility, but there is a possibility that they're going to be fighting for the #1 spot, and to get to that spot, Tejn needs to beat Crater today. Now, Crater, they haven't had the most of impressive performances, let's say. However, what I'm looking at for Tejn is they have won every single game thus far through simply outplaying their opponents and snowballing. And maybe Crater can be that barrier or just a speed bump for Tejn where they just force them out of the snowball. Maybe they force them out of their comfort. And if they manage to do so, can Tejn still win the game from being even in gold? Who knows?
Those are the things we have to see, and last week the game was on stream, but Crater, or last week or some time ago, Crater managed to beat Kaylee 2-1, which, well, it isn't the score that really too many people would expect, so my question is, can they pull out an upset against a team like Tejn? Because you talked about it, playing the speed bump in the league is always an interesting story to follow, because if it doesn't work out, then no one is really mad at you, but if it does, oh, it just works so well.
Yeah, pretty much, and even taking just one game away from Tejn would mean that, well, they are the undefeated team, you know, it wouldn't be another perfect series for them, as I believe they have won every single series 2-0. Feel free to correct me on that if I'm wrong. However, they have been really dominant, and Crater, they have an opportunity to be the Kingslayers, as we here in the Europe love to call it. Now, who I am looking for Crater to be the biggest catalyst for Tejn's fall is the bot lane as well as mid lane. Crater loves to play through their bot lane. Falcon and Rasmussen are usually the players that you will see with the most kills and who will be carrying the entire team. However, for them to get to a position where they can, you know, actually start murdering people, they need some outside help in the form of Lazy Panda. There is a really good chance or probability that we're going to see an aggressive bot lane be picked up by the lineup of Crater, and we can see Lazy Panda on some signature picks, maybe like that Jarvan, maybe like that Sejuani, because he has been seeming a lot more proactive as of late.
Definitely. In the first half of the split, he really didn't do a whole lot, and I'm very happy as a person to see him in the second half so far just be a jungler that likes to gank the lanes, that gets these leads early with his champion pool, that suits this job really well. Only very good things to look forward to from the side of Crater. But let's now take a look at the other side of the rift. In Tejn Esports, they have a substitute. It will not be Owen, I'm gonna say that. Feel free to correct me. There is a weird accent on O in the top lane. It will be
Yeah, we're not
Knut instead.
Danish.
Yeah, we are not Danish. In case you didn't know yet. But there will be Knut playing top lane instead of their main top laner.
And that can shape things up a bit more differently, because while Owen isn't really the biggest force of nature for the side of Tejn, he is a really important cog because he manages to isolate the other opposing laner. He is sort of an islander, as I like to call him, where he just, you know, stays in his lane and he never falls behind. He always goes even and he just tries to shut the opposing laner out. We'll have to see how Knut, is that Knut? Yes, Knut, can fill that role and step into his shoes, because maybe if he can't, and if he just makes a few too many mistakes, then he's still an AD carry slash jungler main, as far as I'm concerned. So the possibility for those missteps is even bigger. So we'll have to see how Tejn can, what's the term, compensate for that.
Yeah, his OPGG would suggest that he is that main, so, you know, it could be a point of the downfall. It could be as well not, as the top lanes in particular so far in the Wintersplit have actually been very up and down. Sometimes they would carry you the game, sometimes they wouldn't. So I'm looking forward, but the rest of time we have already seen them. Person like Coin, the mid laner, or Hekatos in the bot lane as well, their KDAs are actually really good, and either of these players, I have a feeling they're just bound to pop off in this game today.
Oh yeah, they're really consistent in where they manage to find their leads, both in the bot lane and in the mid lane. Hekatos has got, again, 14 KDA, I believe it is, at least right now. But once again, that is off on the back of the fact that, you know, they have won every single game very convincingly, just through Snowball itself. And maybe if they don't find these opportunities, they're going to be at a loss. So I'm also going to be looking at Resource and how he can enable these lanes, especially mid lane, as they do play through mostly Coin. This man, he has around 70 plus average kill participation in every single game that Tejn have played thus far. And well, he is a really good mid laner, let's just say it that way. So the possibility of him roaming around with the jungler is really prevalent, especially now that the mid lane and jungler synergy is so strong.
Right, and the kill participation on a mid laner being 70% is something that is very special, because it tends to be on the jungler, the guy who actually goes around the map. Coin having that number suggests that he is the person that Tejn likes to play through, and he also has been very, very confident in the earlier match today. So I mean, I'm just looking forward to what he can bring out, because confidence and good numbers go together very well, hopefully producing some flashy plays or just consistent team fights. But let's hope for the first one.
Yeah, confidence can, however, spell your doom or downfall sometimes, you know, when that confidence transforms into cockiness. Let's hope that isn't going to be the case for Coin. I am really hoping that he is given something like a very early game focused mid laner. Some assassin, maybe Aurelia, could be something that he decides to pick up. On the side of Resourcen, he does like playing the more carry junglers. He isn't the guy that you will just put on Zac duty and he will just, you know, kind of babysit your lane, just give you every single kill. No. He will pick up kills for himself, which he can then transfer onto other lanes as well. However, that is the point where Tejn Esport starts to coming together as a team rather than as individuals. And that is also an important aspect that we're going to have to look at, just the rotations, vision control, how they play around the map in general.
Definitely, and for that usually I am looking at the supports and what kind of champions they will go to. Both of these players, I feel like they can play different styles of supports. They can play the protective ones, they can play the roaming ones, and if you have something, if you play something like a Thresh or a Pyke or maybe even a Leona and Alistar, then that really allows you to roam around the map and set up pressure around the mid lane and that deep vision, which will be crucial in that mid game if you want to secure the control over an area in the map. Most likely it will be the Dragon.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you have this staple mid laner of yours that you really like playing through, putting your AD carry onto something like that, Ezreal, or something really safe otherwise, maybe even a mage where he can just stay alone in that bot lane, which would allow Yelberen to just go over to mid lane and even try to snowball Coin even further. Of course, we're going to have to look at how Tejn decide to play this, because of course they can just go, you know, outside of our expectations and they can just prove everything that we said that is wrong. So, you know, we're going to see how they play it out. We'll be moving into the picks and bans in just a few short minutes. So we have more to talk about now. The big narrative for today is going to be the Kingslayers, you know,
the Kingslayers Dynasty's legacies,
yes.
And throw in the keywords.
All of that, all that good stuff. We are, of course, going to be playing on 9.2. I believe that 9.3 is, in fact, going to be hitting this Wednesday. I am not sure, of course, but there have been quite a few significant changes in this patch, and
How
one
about
of them.
we go through them?
Yes, one of the biggest ones, I believe, is going to be the Rakan nerf. We actually haven't seen it be picked once in the Wintersplit games, I believe at least, since the nerf went through. So if we see it be picked by someone like Rasmussen, because I know that he loves playing those engage supports, it's going to be interesting because we can compare it to his previous games and then see how if he's really good on the champion or if he was just abusing the fact that, well, he was pretty busted.
Yeah, also one thing to quickly mention, the Silas isn't available in the Wintersplit until 8th of February, so that's the, I believe, Friday? Something like that. I think it's the Friday next week. It's next week anyway, so no good stuff like that. I'm still waiting for the Nico in the Wintersplit.
Yeah, that's likely not gonna happen.
Yeah,
I would love to see it.
I would love to see it, but none of these players really seem to like that champion. They just don't pick it too much, and well, you cannot do anything about it. Unfortunately, still no Nico. Well, maybe one day.
Yeah, to be fair, she isn't precisely great of a champion. She received a mini rework to her ultimate in this patch, where she used to slow the targets by a little bit whenever they were in the range of her ultimate. It doesn't do that now, but the buffer time is shorter. I believe like a quarter of a second, so it helps out just a bit, but likely we're still not going to see it, as she is easily countered by communication, something that we have seen be prevalent in the Wintersplit thus far.
Yeah, and these teams, even though it's Division 2, I feel like they are actually getting much better and better with time when it comes to that communication. I feel like now after that intro, every time I say time, it's going to be... I'm going to have flashbacks, but... Well, looks like we are finally going into the draft in the client, so, you know, we're going to see what kind of picks and bans there were. And Cassiopeia seems to be the first ban taken by the side of Crater.
Makes sense. Cassiopeia has been played by the bot laner of Tejn, I believe it was. She is of course a flex pick, can go into the hands of Koing as well. One of the strongest mid laners, at least right now in the current meta. She's really strong in the early game, really strong in the mid game. She's, you know, all around best guy, as some would call her, so makes sense. Nivea taken away from Tejn. I want to talk about that just a bit. As champion of Ashe, I'm not sure if they're a former Nivea one trick. I just know that they love to play Nivea, so a respect ban coming from the side of Tejn.
Definitely Rakan also being taken away, just restricting those engaged supports and roaming supports that I talked about, and the Ezreal being taken away as well means that there will be less safe AD carries, and on the other side Xin Zhao and Lucian will be the bans.
And I mentioned that I wanted Tejn to pick up that Ezreal themselves, or sorry, Tejn, not Tejn, because they could then roam with Yelperen over to the mid lane. They will just pick it out of the equation and instead will likely opt for something maybe a bit more aggressive, something like that. Draven is technically open, you could go for something like Talia bot lane, but instead we're moving straight through the picks. Sion, Kha'Zix. A good synergy, I'm going to say, in the top lane, especially against Urgot, who has been nerfed this patch. Well, there is a possibility for a few kills at top lane.
There definitely is, but I'm also happy to see a Lazy Panda on a Sejuani. You know, we talked about this guy liking to have some jungler that can gank, but, you know, going on in a Kali, I feel like that might be slightly more interesting.
Ooh, so I like the confidence from Koing. He was a bit cocky, I'm going to say, in the previous stream today. He was saying that he was going to run all over Gimmick in the upcoming game. However, he's just deciding to pick Akali. He's going to be wanting to snowball, but he is going to be playing against champion of Ashes, Lissandra. It is a champion that he is really comfortable on. I mean, who isn't? It's a very safe pick. We have seen some players really popping off on it, however. To mind comes Lil Uzi, who has opted to build Luden's Echo first on her. It is a good pickup. It is a good pickup if you want to get some early damage in, but I think it's going to be more of a stable build just for the pure team fighting.
I mean, Lunasek and Lissandra, actually, we have seen that more, but the draft just keeps moving forward. Vayne will be the AD carry of choice for the side of Tejn, and Falcon will sit on a Xayah. So already both AD carries are more tuned towards that late game, which suggests that we could be seeing this game stalled out for slightly longer.
Ooh, now the Alistar pickup against Morgana. a good pickup from Yildirim, I'm going to say, because, well, if you have this giant cow running at you, like, that's not the most fun thing in the world, right? But if you have a giant black shield that apparently dissuades this cow from running at you, you can make sure that Vayne survives that laning phase. Of course, they're going to have a bit of a hard time, given that Vayne doesn't have the best of auto attack ranges. In the bot lane, there is a really good possibility for Lazy Panda to come around and really ruin someone's day. And once again, here comes Lazy Panda. We've mentioned it once. We're going to mention it the second time. He is one of the most important cogs in the machinery of Crater. If he isn't proactive at all, he's just going to get run over. Or sorry, not him, his team instead, as Resorsen has a lot of setup in almost every single lane, except for mid lane.
Right, you've got that Dark Binding on Morgana, Cyan for Knud as well. Against Ergot, it probably will be just a noodle fight in the top lane, but there is the setup nevertheless, and a Kha'Zix can pack the punch, which could be really big, could get the kills. So Lazy Panda really needs to weigh his options, right? And then on the side of Tejn, you know, we said we were looking at the mid lane and the bot lane. Hecatus on Vayne, probably not be able to do too much. However, calling Akali in mid lane, I am really looking forward how that matchup will look, especially that he did opt into the Ignite. As far as I can see, that is not reflected on the stream, but he does have Ignite, I can assure you, against Alessandra, which...
does he? I have cleanse on my screen. And
oh,
on
wait, am I trolling? I'm trolling. It is cleanse. I am. Yes. Let's move on.
Okay.
That didn't happen.
No, it's okay. On stream, it's teleport, so you know. Yeah. So Akali has decided to pick up cleanse, meaning that, well, Koing is still a little bit scared of Lissandra. Makes sense, given that her ultimate is pretty detrimental to Akali, because, well, if she just presses a button and then Sejuani runs around, you can't really move, and if you can't move, you can't press buttons, and if you can't press buttons, you can't move, and then you're dead. So, you know, it makes sense that he wants to go for a bit of a safer laning phase. But something that I want to bring up is that as soon as Koing and Resorsen start moving together, which is what we were expecting in the pre-show, there is going to be so much combined damage coming out from Akali and Kha'Zix, both in the early game and in the mid game. They're just going to be able to run through everyone on the side of Crater.
However, I feel like the longer the game goes, the more tools Crater have to prevent that. They actually have got, well, every member is either a tank or has got a very reliable way to avoid damage. You've got the Featherstone for Xayah, you've got the Frozen Tomb for Lissandra. She will most likely opt into the Zhonya's Hourglass as well. So yes, you've got those double assassins, which will be scary, especially if Tejn get ahead. Like, when they get snowballing, I really feel sorry for Crater, but if Crater managed to stall the game through or even get ahead in the early game, it could be a very good look for them.
It is going to be a skill matchup between Tejn and Crater. I am really excited for it because, well, as you mentioned it, you brought it up properly. If Tejn snowball, they're going to have a really easy time. You want this Vayne to have a few items under her belt before she starts to function properly. The same can be said for Xayah. However, Xayah with this Alistar can start doing something when compared to, you know, this Morgana Vayne. It is all going to depend on where Resorsen decides to go, as well as how aggressive is Koing going to be. Now, Akali doesn't have the safest or the most aggressive of laning phases, especially before she gets her perfect execution. And the fact that she has the cleanse instead of ignite can really blue ball any of her attempts at getting an early kill. So her roaming is going to be something where Koing is going to try to pick up most of these kills, and maybe he will just want to pay a nice visit to Styx, you know? Maybe.
It could happen. I mean, Energot is a potential target. He can be hard to gang when the flash is there, so we're mostly looking at it being down, thanks to probably an early gank from Resorsen or anything like that. So keep your eyes on that as well. Early ganks are always very important, even if you can burn only the sounder, because that just opens up the entire lane for return ganks, which, well, they are a powerful tool, especially as you said, when calling on that Akali, he will try and get around the map and pick up those kills so that he can then get even more kills in the team fights.
Definitely have to agree with you there. As soon as he gets that Gunblade, he is going to be a really terrifying prospect for the side of Tejn. Now, I want to point out, you ladies and gentlemen cannot see it just yet, but Koing has decided to go for fleet footwork on this Akali. It isn't something that you see too terribly often. You usually would expect Akali to pick Electrocute for that early game damage, maybe Kleptomancy in the top lane, but Tejn really wants to just survive in this laning phase. So I mentioned it, he doesn't want to get kills on Lissandra, only if Resourcen is nearby. He wants to just roam, and this fleet footwork is going to allow him to do that. He has that sustain from the 5-point strike. He's also going to have this innate sustain from fleet footwork, as well as I am assuming that he's going to go for the corrupting pot, so makes sense. And if Champion of Ash isn't really aggressive in this laning phase, he should be able to just get what he wants, because, well, the Sancho doesn't have too much damage, especially without an ignite.
And that's why Champion of Ash has got that teleport, so he can match these roams. And the early skirmishing of Lissandra is actually very powerful. If you can catch out a member on a sneaky teleport, then it can turn many of the fights into Crater's favor. So that point just relates to what you said earlier about it being a skilled matchup. There isn't necessarily a clear-cut team that will have a advantage over the other based on the draft. It will all be about those really complex interactions and how the players decide to go about them and abuse them when appropriate.
Yeah, 2000 IQ plays are going to be the name of the game for us. You brought it up, let's keep on talking about it. The teleports. The side of Crater have 2 teleports, and Urgot is running that unsealed spellbook. What you will often see that Urgot does is that he decides to swap to Ignite really early on into the laning phase to try to complement that he has a relatively strong laning phase, as well as a very, very potent power spike at level 6. We can be expecting an early solo kill happening if Knut isn't careful enough. And after that, you will have these 2 monsters of champions that, if everything goes alright for them, if they're still even, Lissandra and Urgot both are going to be really, really good if they just teleport into the fray, whereas you have just that one teleport on Knut, and Tejn is going to have a really big he will struggle more to get on the other side of the map, so just watch where Tejn is and where Champion of Ash and Styx are and how they respond to these possible threats.
And we are finally loading onto the Rift to see the first game between Tejn and Crater. And straight away it looks like Tejn, they are going for some sort of 5-man invade up in that top lane. There were some pings and they are moving as a unit. If you catch someone out with that Morgana binding from Yelper, it will definitely get you a kill. So watch out for that, we'll see if Styx spots them out.
They haven't been spotted just yet. If Styx decides to move...
Oh, now he moves flashwards from Yelper, and good response from Styx, and another pulse is coming at the literally worst time. Okay, place your bets. Does Styx get hit by the decimating smash?
Yes. Look at how menacing Sion looks in this pose. It's not like he's even like really winding up. He's just like gently resting the axe on his shoulder. He's just like, hey pal, I'm gonna hit you. I can't move away, but I'm gonna hit you.
I mean, it might be just Riot hitboxes, you know. We never know. Actually, if you also look at the minimap, Champion of Ash is moving up, so I don't think Tejn will want to overcommit once that pulse goes down, because, well, it could cost them quite a bit. Although, you know, that's a really awkward spot to have a pulse, I just realized.
It is, but it's okay. We can talk about how important this now lack of a summoner spell is going to be for Styx. I mentioned that he can try to push his advantage before that level 6 as well as once he hits it. However, now that opens up the possibility and another route of attack for Resourcen that I mentioned briefly together with Knut. He will have a relatively lot of setup against this Styx boy. And now that he doesn't have flash, his only way of escape is going to be his own dash. And that doesn't really go too far. So, especially after level 6, given if his flash isn't available, Styx is going to be really, really vulnerable to a gank. And it's going to be a really worth trade for Tejn because, well, sure, you don't have a flash on Morgana, but Lazy Panda on the Sejuani isn't going to be able to do too much before he hits that level 6.
Yeah, and you have got that Black Shield as well to deny any sort of engage, so for the first 5 minutes without the flash, it really shouldn't be that disastrous for Yelper in that bot side. So we get even more time to talk about
More time.
Yes, more time. No, we are actually getting less time than we would be getting, but we have
True.
more time to talk about the potential that time can exhibit in this game.
I have no idea what you said, honestly,
Neither
but
do
I'm
I.
going to just nod my head and say, yes, you are right. So, you don't have a flash on Morgana in the bot lane, which is why, once again, I feel like this Kha'Zix is just going to be roaming around the top side of the map. Another thing, I sort of foreshadowed that Akali can go into the top lane, especially after she hits that level 6 and gets the access to the perfect execution, and now it's going to be even more probable that Koing is going to be camping Styx. So I just feel like Styx isn't going to have a fun time at all, and Lazy Panda can do a few things to combat this. He can either move into the top side of his jungle, have Champion of Ash push out the mid wave, just force Koing under his turret. As soon as he has level 6, just immobilize him essentially, make sure that he cannot roam, and stay in the top side of the jungle. Rasmussen and Falcon, they should be fine. They have flashes, it's Alistar, Xayah has some sort of self-peel with the Featherstorm as well. They're going to be absolutely fine. Lazy Panda needs to make sure that Styx survives, because if you're going to have a Kha'Zix or a Kali snowballing, that's a really scary prospect.
It definitely is, and well, you are SRG, you've got these paths to use, and I think the players might be slowly getting ready. I am not entirely sure about that.
Yeah, we just saw
yeah.
Koing saying something in Danish.
Yes, I just assumed it might mean something in terms of, well,
we cannot speak Danish.
no,
That's-
we cannot. I
that's
mean,
a fun fact.
at least I already learned what does that mean. What is "we are ready"? I'm not gonna say it. I know how it's written, so I can recognize
then
it.
write it. Then write it into the chat.
Okay, wait, be right back. You
Okay.
you entertain the audience.
Yeah. In the meantime, Hivian has said in the Twitch chat that he's just asking what's up. That's a bit anticlimactic, of course. Our lovely Sejuani, that means Lazy Panda is having some problems with getting into the game, I believe. It took him a bit longer to load in, as far as I am concerned, so maybe he's just having some technical issues. Who knows? Well, we're just going to have to wait for him.
Yes, it's a Papa broadcast.
It is a Papa
Instead that we
broadcast.
don't have we're not LCK and we don't have Papa. That's
don't-
unlucky.
Never say we don't have Papa.
We don't have Papa Smithy. Okay.
There you go. There you go.
Yes,
that sounds
that's
much
better. That's better. Yes.
Yeah, honestly, just much much better.
I really need to be careful about the implications of my words.
You do. Another thing that I'm currently wondering is what sort of runes Koing decided to go for, because of course fleet footwork on Akali isn't something that you see too often. Of course, Akali is getting nerfed, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay.
Next patch, rejoice! A couple of round of applause.
Akali is gone.
Crab Rave, yes. Now, the things that come to my mind is that you can either get the Presence of Mind and then go with Triumph and Coup de Grace. However, you could also go with... Or sorry, not Presence of Mind, Triumph. Presence of Mind or the Lifesteal, and then Coup de Grace, or you could go with Triumph. So if you see Koing ever just diving someone and he runs away, and he survives just by the skin of his teeth, just by like 20 HP, well... You have to thank this precision tree because, well, Koing has 2000 IQ, I believe.
Yeah, the precision tree. Well, we'll actually have to see how many times it does save him. And yeah, Lazy Panda is reconnected, finally.
Yay.
And we're going to see whether the decimating smash actually hits on Styx. I feel like that's the most important thing right now.
Can we get a countdown? Wait, is it actually
we
going to be
do.
countdown?
We do get a countdown, and yeah, the game isn't unpaused yet, but Lazy Panda has connected and written in chat. Therefore, you know, we should be going in fairly soon.
I would love to give a countdown because, like, we can, you know, be really climactic about that. Say,
Oh, 3, 2,
1,
1, and Styx. Oh,
yes!
wait, he actually does get hit.
He
What?
does get it because
Okay.
hitboxes are actual bull on that decimating smash. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. If you have just connected, if you have just joined in, we have had a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a Papa Smithy broadcast brought to you by Kerem and Kachka, the K brothers.
Yes.
As we call ourselves, of course. And we're going to be going into the game in just a short minute as the teams, well, Tejn are being a bit unorthodox. They're just, you know, trying to scout out where everyone is, but Pixel Brush has been warded. I know that you love to talk about that, so, you know, we're right once again.
It is just one of the things that happens always, and you can just mention it to fill 20 seconds of the time. See? 200 IQ casting strats.
Oh, we don't share that, okay? It's a secret.
I mean, you gotta help the amateurs out there that might be trying. I mean, we are amateurs as well. I'm not,
no. You should have just stopped that we help the amateurs.
Yes,
we're professionals casting LEC. Regardless, both junglers have started on the bot side of the map. Resourcen, he is really, well, Kha'Zix isn't the jungler with the healthiest of wave clear in the early game. You see that he's already having to pop that refillable potion. However, he can contest that Skull Crab that is being spawned right now. Depending on how healthy Lazy Panda is going to be, looks like Kha'Zix is just going to roam over to his wolves though, at least for now.
And no jungle aggression coming through from either of the junglers. Lanes are going fairly even as well. Just Coin is poking Champion of Ash, but that Aftershock makes sure that no major damage will be taken. Knut is getting a small CS hit in the top lane, and nothing major is happening. Looks like actually both Lazy Panda and Resourcen will be looking to roam up into the top side of the map, so if they meet there, we could be something brewing up.
And Resourcen has decided to go to the top side of the map, however Lazy Panda is here to respond. I don't think that Resourcen is going to go for that gang, given how the wave is positioned, at least right now. It's going to be pushing towards Styx, so it would have been a pretty peculiar situation, but now Lazy Panda is forced away.
Yeah, he is. There was some minor trading in the bot lane. Now Resourcen could get collapsed by 3 members of Crater. Will just make it out thanks to that Shrine. The Smite finally coming through from Lazy Panda. He isn't losing his blue buff to just some random bug, and Resourcen will not get the invade.
And a good rotation from Champion of Ash. However, something that I want to point out with this is that it gives breathing room to Coin. He has just 1 health potion, and given that Champion of Ash was forced to go help Lazy Panda, it just ruined one opportunity of his poke, which is something that he really needs to do. The level 6 is going to be hit surprisingly shortly in the mid lane, and as soon as that happens, Coin can start to look for avenues. I said that he doesn't really want to kill Champion of Ash, but if he gets an opportunity, he will have more than enough damage to do so.
Yeah, and especially if that happens before Champion of Ash gets access to his own ultimate, the Frozen Tomb, then he doesn't have too many ways to protect himself. Therefore, Coin, he will have a very slight window of opportunity, which is hard to abuse, but if it happens, then it can give Tejn a very significant lead. As now Lazy Panda, he's roaming down towards that bot side. The first dragon spawning will be the Cloud one, so no Inferno starting on the Rift today. And both Resource and Lazy Panda, they are just shadowing each other on the same sides of the jungle at all times.
However, Resourcen is a bit behind on the Skull Crab fight, at least in the bot side. Now, of course, he did get the crab in the top river, so, you know, it balances each other out, perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Something Thanos reference. Regardless, neither of these junglers have been back, at least just yet, and I'm curious to see what Resourcen decides to pick up as his first clear, because he can go either Serrated Dirk or start at least building up to it, and he can then go for Duskblade immediately, depending on whether he wants to gank often or if he just wants to clear. Kha'Zix can do relatively both, as he is a strong mid-game assassin, but that is going to tell us a bit more about how the jungler wants to play the game.
Yeah, so far 5 minutes in, neither of the junglers actually making any decisive gang moves. If you actually look at all of the lanes, they're fairly in the middle, but now Resourcen, he is looking for that lane gang. There was a ward, there is a ward in that brush. The first try, and it doesn't work out. I mean, if it does, then I will be very surprised, but it shouldn't. Crater has full information, so they will just play defensively.
And Lazy Panda just goes back instead. He doesn't even want to go there. Now in the mid lane, Champion of Ash is actually lacking some mana. Coin has hit that level 6. Watching all in.
Oh, there is already the perfect execution. That is the Shuriken flip as well. Coin is taking too much damage, and the first blood will go in favor of Champion of Ash. That was an oopsie.
a right idea. He had the right idea. He went in as soon as Champion of Ash was low on mana and he was full HP, but in the end, the tower just deals way too much damage, and, well, the Shroud isn't actually as powerful as it used to be. It's, of course, getting even more gutted in the upcoming patch, but Lissandra doesn't need to know your location, of course. You know, she's not like Google. She just needs to know where you roughly are, and then her AoE spells kills you, so... Well played from Champion of Ash, without even using the Frozen Tomb.
Yeah, he did. He had to use like 10% of his power, and then he still managed to kill Coin. No cleanse, no flash used.
Okay.
And I mean, questionable engage from Coin. I mean, as you said, the idea was good, execution not quite there, which will allow Champion of Ash to pick that kill, give a slight goal lead in favor of Crater, and that isn't really how you snowball, but it's not over for Tejn. They will have plenty of more opportunities to make their own moves.
Definitely isn't. I'm still looking at Coin if he decides to roam around and try to go to the top lane. Now, Resurson is in some trouble.
He is going to get stunned up by the Permafrost. He's got the flash. Coin is now roaming up on the Akali.
Ooh.
Will get rooted up by the Ring of Frost. However, Knut joins the fight. That is now a 3 versus 3. There is the same from Styx, and Resurson is still looking for his avenues. Knut is trying to have health. Champion of Ash joins the fight. Coin flashes forward. He doesn't have the perfect execution quite yet. Champion of Ash will get knocked up by the Decimating Smash. He tries to get away. Dropping very low already. Flashes in with the Frozen Loop. That is a lot of damage. Coin is dropping low below 100. There is the Fear Beyond Death. Styx kills Knut. Ooh, Lazy Panda does not secure the kill onto Coin in the end. And Champion of Ash, he is low on the wrong side of the map, but should be able to make it out over the wall. In the end, a 1-for-1 in this crazy 3v3 we had in the river.
Yeah, such a chaotic teamfight right there. Coin in the end decided to roam around, and Champion of Ash couldn't actually use the Frozen Tomb on him as he was in the mid lane because, well, Coin was in his Shroud, and in the end, it just ended up in one kill, heading over to the side of Akali. And you mentioned that ain't the best way to snowball, just giving away kills. Well, how about just taking some? He's going to back. He's not going to decide to pick those plates instead. He's going to have this giant wave crashing into the turret instead, and he's going to reset.
And that one kill going into Coin especially will help Tejn definitely in the next few minutes, as he is nearing that Hextech Gunblade, which is a scary power spike if you are playing against an Akali, and a very good one if you are playing as her. So Tejn, they are starting to get the pieces still behind in gold, so I'm still looking for more of these fights going decisively into Tejn's favor. And
they need to snowball, however, they still have this late game guarantee in the form of Hekatos on that Vayne. So even if they don't manage to snowball out of control, they still are going to be relatively well off in late game teamfights. However, if they does get to that part, I am a bit scared because, well, you have such a strong front line as well as back line on the side of Crater.
Right, and those two assassins will not do a whole lot, as actually Lazy Panda is sitting in that bot lane. Oh, the Glacial Prison does not connect. Hekatos can just flash away. There's the flash forward from Rasmussen. He does not get the headbutt off onto Yelper, but it might be enough damage. Flash away, heal as well committed. 3 summoners from the bot lane of Tejn, and they will get out alive.
And in the end, it worked out for them, because Rasmussen, sure, he did use up both of his summoners, but in the end, so did Vayne, and so did Morgana. Well, of course, she does have that Ignite up, but her flash is gone. And now, Lazy Panda can just look to maybe come back and try to rinse and repeat. Now, Rasmussen doesn't actually have the Hex Flash, which I am a bit surprised by. Nonetheless, in the top lane, there may be something happening, some shenanigans.
Styx is 1 versus 2 under the turret. Coin is also making his way up there. The first plating will be taken, but Tejn does not feel like they can actually execute the dive. And then return Crater, they will turn towards that Cloud Trick and will take it.
Good rotation from Crater. Good rotation or a bad rotation from Tejn? Well, I dare say it's something in the middle. It took Tejn a bit too long to take just that 1-0 plating. It seemed like they wanted to both dive and take the plating at the same time. In the end, Coin was too far away, and so nothing really happened. And, well, that is a Cloud Drake headed to Crater.
And I must say I really like the map rotations from Crater. They got that fight 3v3 be a 1-for-1 in the end, and the kill on Champion of Ash, they weren't really necessarily rotational advantages, but still now they get that dragon, they don't lose anything on the other side of the map. And well, Crater, they are looking very strong considering how Tejn have been dominant in the previous games.
They haven't been, and sorry, this is the question that I had for them prepared going into this game. Can Tejn play well from just being even with the team? It looks like we are going to see that answered here today, as Crater, they are playing very well. They are just pushing their advantages, they're keeping the score even, which is one of their win conditions. They just need to scale. They have this Xayah, they have this Lissandra, they just need to push the waves out. In the bot lane, they have been doing a good job of punishing Hekatos and Ilperen at several occasions, as they do have the range advantage. And so far, well played from Crater. I would just be hoping that they would have more vision control in the enemy's jungle now that they are completely pushed in almost permanently under Tejn's turret.
Right, and now we could be seeing a little trade in the middle lane, will not end up being anything major. And as you said, 11, actually now 12 minutes into the game, no major advantages for either of these teams. However, if you do look at the CS, actually I will hold on to that point, because Knut might get caught out in the river. 1 versus 2 against Lazy Panda and Champion of Ash. There is the permafrost stun, he's got the unstoppable onslaught, will not be interrupted by the disdain. Good escape from Knut, gets out with his life. No major cooldowns committed by the side of Crater.
That disdain could have had swapped the entire fate of that fight. Regardless, teams will just return to how they were once, and I really like the vision control from both these teams. Now, especially in the top side of the map, it is mostly dominated by Crater. Of course, that pixel brush has cancelled so many roam opportunities for Knut, and it even caused him to get caught out once. However, the side of Time, they still have vision on that Rift Road, so they will know if it's going to ever start. But now it's already 13 minutes, and they haven't precisely done too much. You wanted to talk about that CS differential in the mid lane, and that is sure all well and good, but they need to start pressuring the side of Crater a bit more.
Right, pressure is the name of the game for Tejn right now. They aren't exerting a lot of it. We actually saw just getting caught out a good black shield onto Yelper to get away from that glacial prison. Another gang by Lazy Panda being denied in that bottom lane. And really, neither of the side can seem to just break open any sort of major advantages. No kills have fallen down in the past 6 minutes or so, as now Resource and he's prepping up vision for the Herald. Could be the next objective.
And this is what we call the Korea, you know, the Korean strats where players don't really die, just all about the vision control. Tejn are currently dominating the map when you look at both sides of it. Of course, the side of Crater still do have that bot lane covered. They will know whenever Resourcen is coming around. And I have to commend them also for how much vision they have kept in those side bushes on the bot lane itself, because it has cancelled so many lane ganks from Resourcen.
Champion of Ash could be in a tricky position. 1 versus 2, he takes the glacial pathway to safety into Coin, but his turret stands and he will be able to make it out time. They are trying to use that vision control, as you said, to find the pigs, but really locking down Lissandra is not the easiest of tasks to complete, and as a result, once again, no kills.
It is difficult to relatively difficult to shut Lissandra down from that Frostclaw, I believe it is called. However, Akali can do that with relative ease. However, Koing wasn't in that exchange, he wasn't anywhere near, and as a result, Champion of Ash was just free to jump away, you know, really happily, just skip it away. And so far, again, no kills happening. However, Koing has now gone back, he has finished that Gunblade, and you talked about this, it is one of the most disgusting power spikes.
One item spikes.
Yes, one item spikes. In the bot lane, Hekatos has also decided to finish that Blade of the Ruined King, whereas Falcon is still sitting just on that Stormrazor. So there is also another avenue that the side of Tejn can pick up to try to snowball the game.
Falcon is sitting on 1700 gold though, so once he recalls he will be strong, but I agree, until that recall comes through there is the potential to punish that bot lane since the AD carry items are about even. The Gunblade, you talked about it, I don't think there is any more need. First items are generally completed across the board. Obviously we don't talk about supports because, well, they're always behind on items.
We never talk about supports.
Yes, unless it's an Ardent meta, then support items don't matter. Change my mind.
Okay.
They do. Don't take it from me.
You're kinda right. You have half the truth. Now, another one item power spike that I would like to talk about is the fact that Rasmussen is just jumping in and taking over half of his HP as the teleport is coming in. Lazy Panda commits with the Glacial Prison. Teleport actually gets interrupted in the end. Falcon pulls the feathers back in, but here goes Resourcen. He has got the Black Shield on himself, flashes forward, he gets Falcon. Lazy Panda falls to Hecatus as Rasmussen is just slain under the tower by Coin. 3 kills going in favor of Tejn, and this is what we wanted to see from them. And a complete cleanup from the side of Tejn. They just switch the narrative that has been this game thus far. There are no platings. They can even look to take this very turret. There is a
1 versus 4 under the tower. He uses the Frozen Tomb onto himself. The minions are dying. Do Tejn still commit? Condemn doesn't quite land the stun. There is the Ring of Frost, but the aggro jungle is fairly decent, but Resource and will still die in the end. A 1-for-1 trade. That turret should fall though, as you said.
That will be really worth it for the side of Tejn. They are going to be able to pick this turret up. That turret dealt a lot of damage. Of course, now the turret hits do scale with how many shots they fire. It looks like Tejn, they will be content with just getting that couple of kills instead of pushing their advantages further. Now Crater, they do decide to answer by starting this Rift Herald, and I do not believe that Tejn are anywhere nearby to even try to contest it. Regardless, now you have 2 kills on both Resourcen and Coin, and that is a lot of early gold headed over into the pockets of these high damage assassins.
It's not necessarily early, but 17 minutes into the game is still that point where Akali and Kha'Zix will be scary threats, and Coin, Resource, and we talked about them, Coin being a very confident mid laner. Meanwhile, the first tide actually falls on bot lane in favor of Crater, but Resource, the carry jungler, Coin a mid laner that is also very scary, and they have got the kills now. It's on their back to now make sure Tejn wins this game, and I'm looking at them to find the assassinations in the team fights or just picks and snowball that slim gold lead that Tejn are currently sitting at.
And you have to wonder, is this going to be enough? I dare argue that not yet. Crater are going to be grouping around this dragon. They have complete vision control and dominance over the bot side of the map. Remember, Hecatos cannot really contest these fights just yet, so can't really Falcon.
Oh, Coin going into the backline. That is a nice chunk of damage onto Falcon. Not quite enough. Oh, Coin actually assassinates the AD carry for Crater. I say 4 versus 5. Fight now. Sticks trying to jump into the backline. Coin still wreaking havoc on that Akali. He cannot be touched. There is the ignite. The Black Shield is here. He still stays alive as Sticks falls down. Chandler trying to jump forward. He uses the Frozen Tomb. Can Coin actually outplay the Lissandra? There is the Zone has to buy even more time. And Coin will stay alive throughout the whole fight. That is a 4-4-0 fight in favor of Tejn, and they are just ripping this game out of Crater's grasp.
Coin came up absolutely clutch in that one little team fight. It just once again turns the game around for Coin. Now there is a 3k gold lead. They will look to extend it as Resourcen is now doing the dragon, and Coin with Knut are doing the mid lane turret, and Coin, he played it perfectly. On that Akali, he first engaged onto Falcon. He completely obliterated him. He just murdered him. No, he didn't even give him a piece of paper to write his will, and then he just jumped around, and the Black Shield shielded so much damage from him. The only other member left alive for the side of Crater was Lissandra, and of course Morgana's Black Shield, you know, it shields from magic damage, and so Coin was able to stay alive, and a really, really well fought team fight by him.
And now if you look at what that means for the state of the game, Tejn currently sitting at over 4,000 gold lead as the Baron spawns Coin 3-1 and 5 on the Akali. Already completed the Oblivion Orb on top of his previous items, and this man is going to be such a crucial point, and Hecatos, he's catching up with the items as well. Tejn, they are looking very, very strong, and Crater, they will need to break a sweat if they want to come back in this game, as Coin, he might just have found 2 members of Crater. Champion joins the fray. That is a lot of damage and CC onto Coin, but he just makes it out with the perfect execution. Yelper is slowed down. The Black Shield will help him escape, though. The fight is still going on. Stakes drops very, very low. That is the stun onto Hecatus. Champion in the front line. He has got no Frozen Tomb. Flash forward from Hecatus. He wants to get the kills, but Black Shield will help him sustain for a while. But the members of Crater, they are making it out. And Tejn, they just get full control over the topside jungle as the Baron is on the map.
And Tejn are just bullying Crater out at this point. They do not want them anywhere near this Baron. They just want to set up their vision. Look at how much red is currently sitting on the vision on the map. At least right now they are looking to set their sights on the top lane turret, and after that they will have complete control over the upper segment of the map. As Lazy Panda and Falcon, no, this is a bad spot.
Resourcen could jump forward, and there is Coin going in as well. There is no hope for Falcon. He just gets deleted off the Sounders Rift. That is a 30-second death timer. The turret in the bot lane the top lane, I should say. Bot laners, they are trading, and Tejn, they are just snowballing their gold lead relentlessly, not letting Crater take a single thing in this game.
It was almost a perfect game. It was really calm and quiet for a few minutes until around the 17-minute mark, and then Coin got the gunblade. Coin started doing things, and I suppose at this point we can say that it is one of his most signature picks. He's really good on that champion, and it is really obnoxious to be playing against an Akali, especially against an Akali that really knows how to be annoying.
Yeah, and as you said, that gunblade is such a big power spike, and I also have to though commend Yelperin, because his black shields have been crucial for the side of Tejn to make sure that in these fights they can stay in them, they can avoid all of the CC and actually keep dishing out the damage. The one fight we just saw in that topside jungle, Coin, he was shielded from so much threat because of Yelperin's black shield, and this guy has also been very crucial in these team fights. Let's not overlook his contributions.
Yelperin is again one of the most crucial members of the lineup of Tejn, at least right now. You said it right, of course. Together with Coin, they are an absolute storm. They cannot really lock this Akali down as soon as she enters the fray, because they cannot drop any CC down on her. And it has to feel bad if you're Falcon, or really anyone on the side of Crater, because you now have this giant ninja assassin running about in your backline and you're completely defenseless. Now, the items are sitting relatively the same as they were a few minutes ago for Crater. Unfortunately, Falcon, it has still quite a way to go if he wants to finish that second Zeal item, or sorry, the first Zeal item, his second item. In the meantime, Coin going against Lissandra.
Yeah, Champion of Ash is dropping low. Coin has more than enough damage, but will not force the Frozen Tomb from Champion of Ash. He has got the patience, but I feel like Coin, at this point, he can probably just go for the dive. It's better than the one at the beginning of the game. As he'll be going into the jungle onto the Rasmussen, he gets knocked up. There is no Black Shield in the vicinity. Yelperin now moving forward and finally drops it down. However, Yelperin is now the target. He has got the Zonias, and the Soul Shackles does not find the stun onto anyone. Coin in the back, and he's looking for the session onto Falcon, and he gets the double kill. Both carries deleted in the meantime. Yelperin does hold. Hecatus now in the middle of the fray will fall down. So Coin is still dishing out the damage. That is a triple already. He cannot be touched. He's going on to 6 right now. That Ergot is just going to get cut down under the turret, and then quadruple kill for Coin. Can he get the penta? Yes, he can. He will get it at 24 minutes into the game. Tejn get the ace in the trade for 3.
And I feel like this is just a perfect way to sum up what Coin has been able to do on this champion. He weaved in and out so well in this very team fight. Even without the Black Shield, sure, he got knocked up for the first time, but in the end there wasn't anyone that could really come even close to him, because he would just delete them. And as soon as Yelperin just came around, well, again, there wasn't much that Crater could do. At this point, Tejn are sitting at 7k gold lead, and it's going to be, again, increasingly difficult for the side of Crater to really do anything. Now, you do have a couple of items coming through for Crater. That is the Silver Lining, of course, and they just have to sort of stall out. But Coin, man, he's been doing such a good job on this Akali and just keeping the enemy on their toes, really, because you never know what can happen with this champion.
And you know, I always look at the map and I'm thinking, alright, Crater, they've got some vision on the Baron, it will be cleared out right now. Their base isn't in shambles, but then you see a team fight like that where Coin just completely styles on Crater, and Tejn, they're just so far that another fight might be erupting. Coin is now going with the perfect execution. There is a Frozen Tomb. Resourcen is dropping low in the backline. Coin goes in once again. He's got the Black Shield onto himself. There is the Fear Beyond Death. Resourcen falls down. Hecatus actually falls down to Falcon. Coin has to burn the class. He's now running away from the Lazy Panda and Sticks. Tejn, this fight isn't going as well for you as the previous one. Coin on 300 HP. I am not sure, but if you can outplay that, he is in the Twilight Shroud. He tries to go away. Here comes Rasmussen, and there is the Glacial Prison, and you shut down, landing onto Sticks, and this fight, Crater taking 3-4-0.
And that is 1,000 gold heading over into the pockets of Sticks. A really, really big bounty. The Baron is open, and well, there isn't much that Tejn can do right now. I'll be honest, at the beginning it looked like it was an overextension from the side of Crater. They didn't have the full squad, but as soon as Hecatus started 1v1ing Falcon, and Coin was unable to really do too much because Yelperin wasn't there to give him a Black Shield, that just swayed the tides completely into the favor of Crater. Now they have leveled the gold deficit a tiny bit. They do have that Baron buff. They can start pushing out the waves and even maybe look to take a turret, but they still need that vision control. The Drake will be spawning in just around 2 minutes, I assume. And now, well, if they want to contest that, they need thorough vision of the lower portion of the map.
And I think if that fight showed anything, it's the importance of that Black Shield. One fight, Coin doesn't get a Black Shield, and suddenly it's 4 kills, 4-0 in favor of Crater, and they get the Baron buff. Yelperin needs to be with that Akali, and it has been shown. If you didn't believe it before, then well, there it is. Crater now in a significantly better spot, but Tejn still with that gold in, and Rasmussen might just die in the mid lane on an overextension. Falcon as well in the backline already has to commit the Feather Storm. Will make it out with the use of Flash as well, but Rasmussen is just the sacrificial cow. 1 versus 5, that's a nice polarized mate, but Hecatus gets the kill in the end.
Right now, Crater have to organize a defense. I do not believe that Tejn can even try to get a siege down, especially without that Baron buff. That is also something that is really important, that it is now taken away from their hands, because the lineup of Crater, they have such good wave clear. They have the Xayah, they have the Lissandra, even Urgot has a good range against those minions. But Lazy Panda now...
Coin looking for some more. There is the Asobul onslaught. Champion of Ash has to commit the Zhonya Hourglass. He still has got the Frozen Tomb. Now that's used it. Yelper in the front line has to commit into Zhonya's as well. Champion of Ash already falls. There is the Black Shield onto Resourcen. 1-for-1 so far. Lazy Panda dropping down to Hecatus. The decimating smash next onto Stakes. That Vayne is doing work onto the front line of Crater. Keep your eye on Hecatus. He's still untouched. Coin might not be going in, but 2 kills still fall in favor of Tejn. They will be looking to now break into the base, as it is a 4 versus 3 for the time being.
And a really well played team fight by the Champion of Ash. He bought so much time with those Zhonyas, with that Frozen Tomb. There was nothing that Tejn could do, and he was really patient with those abilities as well. He waited until the very last second, so it prolonged the inevitable, and in the end he got his team there, and they got the return kill. And the most important thing after that, Falcon stayed alive, so they could wave clear. And in the end, Tejn couldn't take the turret. Sure, they're moving into the side lanes, but they aren't going to get any actual objectives out of this.
However, Hecatus now dishing out so much damage does bring back to the point you touched on at the very beginning about that late game guarantee, and even though Coin might find it harder and harder to do work, Hecatus is a Vayne. You've got
True.
2 tanks and an Urgot on this side of, I mean, yeah, Alistair is tanky as well. So you've got so many beefy targets on the side of Crater that the Silver Bolts will be just shredding their health bars. And that's just yet another threat you have to watch out as Crater. So when do you actually have got any real advantage over Tejn?
Well, essentially when you have an advantage is as soon as Morgana uses that Black Shield in a team fight. You mentioned that essentially for Coin to be useful, he needs that Black Shield. Well, if that Black Shield is expanded onto Coin, Hecatus cannot really be safe, because he's just gonna get Frozen Tombed to death, and he has a really short range, so he has to get close.
Now Champion going in with that portable teleport is coming through. The dragon will be secured by resources and the fight is in full swing. Falcon is already doing it by coin and he's doing so much work in that team fight. Rasmussen has to flash away sticks in the middle of five members. He gets Yelper and now Rasmussen trying to get away. There is the Assault Bones of Hecatus on a killing spree. A 4-for-1 fight in favor of Tejn and they could be looking to break open the base if not more. Just look at these death timers.
Such a good teleport coming there from Knut. He was around 2 seconds earlier to do that in compared to Styx, and in the end it was just an unfair 5v4. Falcon was way too far out and he just got blown up to smithereens by Coing. You cannot do that if you're such a prominent carry for your team composition. Luckily for Crater, Tejn looked to be just satisfied with taking that one single inhibitor, as they do not have the waves positioned well enough to go to the rest of the base.
No, they do not, and really the carries on the side of Tejn just stepping up in the team fights, as well as the frontline Knut with the CC being there. And I'm just really impressed by how Tejn as a team play out these team fights. The Death Cap completed now for a while, sitting in Coing's inventory, means that he will hurt you. At the very least, if not more.
He will be hurting constantly. Same can be told for pretty much everyone on the side of Tejn. Akali, Vayne, Kha'Zix still, they have so much damage spread among one another that it's really difficult for you to, well, do anything if you overstep. And that is once again going to be something that we have to pay close attention to when we look at every single team fight. Is Falcon in the back line? And this pretty much forces one of the frontliners for Crater to constantly be with him, because the side of Tejn, they have so many engage options to get onto this back line that it's really difficult to do something if you're way too far ahead, not only as an AD carry, but also as the tank.
Looks like actually Crater will try to take down that mid lane turret finally at 32 minutes, and as the Baron will spawn, it will allow them to push in further with that vision. They have got a fairly decent control of their own jungle, and you talked about vision control being crucial for Crater. It is crucial in every game, but right now they are doing a good job of securing it around that Baron.
Now Tejn are coming back. They look to retake every single bit of that vision that Crater have so painfully set up. It's a bit unfortunate. However, you do have Champion of Ash sitting currently on no mana, so he cannot teleport in.
Styx will get caught out by the Dark Binding. The damage is coming through. He's just cut down where he stands. Coing is on a killing spree. This is Ergot already gone. For the side of Crater, Knut is trying a 1 versus 3. He will not die. He will not be able to do anything either. In time, they are turning back towards that Baron. The tank not available. For the side of Crater, could spell out some trouble as Coing. He has got the Black Shield. He pops into the Twilight Shard, just clearing out the wards, making sure that Lazy Panda cannot come anywhere close to this Baron. And finally, at 33 minutes into the game, Tejn secure the Baron Nashor.
Once again, you just cannot do this if you're on the side of Crater. You cannot make a single mistake. Tejn have so many engage options, and they capitulated on them. Capitalized on them perfectly. They just got one good kill, and that's all it takes. They just need to kill one person, then they can win a team fight just because they are this ahead. Now the top lane turret is in their sight, and can Lazy Panda step up maybe with a good Glacier Prism?
Rasmussen is on the front line. He eats a Dark Binding into his face. The turret is dropping slowly but steadily. The empowered cannon minions are doing the damage. Coing pops in the Twilight Shard. He's looking for opportunities. Both teams in a very tense standoff. The mid lane wave is not yet crashing in. That is a binding onto Champion of Ash. He has to already commit the Zonias. It could turn out to be really sour. He manages to step away from the crucial CC. But that cannon minion, it is just hammering away on that turret. There is nothing that Crater can do right now. And Tejn, they will just wait it out. Another binding lands, and they should be able to take it. Oh, that is a good Glacial Prison. Forces the QSS from Hecatus, and now the fight is in full swing. There is the Soul Shackles. Champion of Ash already has to go down into the Frozen Tomb. Is taken down by Resource and Falcon in the backline. Pops already in the Frozen Tomb. Coing is on the rampage. It slays the AD carry of Crater. That is 3 members down. Styx is next. Rasmussen, the last person. A full ace is coming through for Tejn, and at 34 minutes into the game, they will take the game 1 over Crater.
And a perfect team fight to end the perfect game. Well, not perfect, but almost perfect game for Tejn. 35 minutes. It took them a bit longer than we maybe expected them to. But alas, Akali, she is a scaling assassin. She still deals so much damage in the late game. So many individuals stepping up on the side of Tejn, and well, it was really difficult for Creator to really do anything as soon as Coin got going, because together with the Elper, they were an unstoppable force of nature. And well, really well played for the side of Tejn.
Definitely, and we saw Creator actually do fairly well in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the game. So how do they change coming into the game too, apart from banning Akali? Because please do that, yes.
Just ban Akali. Honestly, they have to try to shut Coin down a bit more. Now, I'm not quite sure if he has more champions like that Akali in his arsenal. Maybe, you know, something like that Zed. I know that he can play something like that Aatrox. Put more emphasis on camping mid lane. Now, Hekatos and Ylperen, sure, they played well in the bot lane, but they weren't the ones inherently getting the leads for the side of Tejn. If you shut Coin down, because honestly, comparing Coin and Champion of Ashe, Coin is the better laner. He has the better mechanics, he has farmed way better than, in this case, Champion of Ashe. And well, if you maybe just have the jungler sit on him and make sure that he cannot move or cannot do anything, that may open up more avenues for you to try to get a lead or just win the game in a later stage.
Alright, and on that note, we will go into this short break, but do not go anywhere, because after that we will see whether Tejn stays undefeated in Division 2 or if Creator will fancy their chances in a Game 3, so we'll be back.
Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains. Welcome to the war, we've only begun. So pick up your weapon and face it. There's blood on the ground, go and take it. You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your bones, go and take it. This is your moment. Now is your time, so prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Rise, push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Rise. Welcome to the climb up, reach for the summit. Visions brave, the one false, steadily the end. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your blood, go and take it. This is your moment. Take to the skies, go. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Rise, push through heaven. seconds while you dream. A life never lives in peace. As you stand upon the edge, woven by a single thread, and fate may fall down upon you, while the devil is knocking right at your door. So are you restless? Each night you hear the drums roar. Awaken, awaken, the voice begins to call you while you hunger. A taste of destiny you're searching for. Awaken, awaken, the fight is at your door. Take up the cause. As you stand upon the edge, hanging in the balance, and fate may fall down upon you, while the devil is knocking. So are you restless? Each night you hear the drums roar. Awaken, awaken, the voice begins to call you while you hunger. A taste of destiny you're searching for. Awaken, awaken, awaken. Tell me where do I go? Tell me where do I take us? Your heart is starting to slow. May the water be safe. As I dive in, bloodstains washing underneath the waves. I'll be reaching out to keep you safe. As we fall, I can't hold on much longer. We're drifting down.
Welcome back everyone for our game 2 between Crater and Tejn Esports. After Tejn secured a fairly convincing game 1 victory, we'll be looking if Crater can deny them a 2-0 sweep or if Tejn will just walk over them anyways.
Yeah,
Karim, how do you feel about this game?
So I'm hoping that Akali is banned. That's pretty much what I'm hoping that's going to happen. I'm also hoping that Crater are going to start being maybe a bit more proactive than just so passive as they were. There were good rotations that they had on the map in the early game of the last game. However, they were unable to really push any leads because simply Coin got too far ahead and Crater didn't have the team composition to combat him in the early game. So maybe we're going to see some more early game prioritized picks, maybe something like that Lucian, something like that Kalista, or we can see Champion of Ashe on something like that Aatrox. We know that he can play it, even though he is primarily a mage player.
Right, and the thing is also that we talked about how Lazy Panda likes to be aggressive, and in game 1 he wasn't necessarily aggressive, let's put it at that. I am mostly looking to see if in game 2 he can actually play more aggressive, because he wasn't really on a jungler that cannot make ganks. Yes, Sejuani not the most gang focus, and there is the Akali ban, by the way, but you know, you can still make them happen, and she's still very good at them.
Yeah, to be fair, the bot lane of Tejn played really well, and given that they were pushed under their turret around 70% of the time, it makes sense that Lazy Panda was unable to really do too much, especially pre-level 6, where he didn't have access to that glacial prison. However, yes, you're right, I am expecting him to be a bit more proactive in this game. The bans aren't even remotely headed towards him, so something like that Zhao is still open. Maybe if he can pick that up, it could sway the things a bit into the favor of Crater.
Or top lane Cannon will be picked up by Tejn. Well, that's interesting considering that Knut played the Sion last time and now also in a teamfight pick, but this time he will be doing the damage.
We could see him maybe prioritize the AD cannon, just go for pure split push against the Sion. Sion will have a relatively regular laning phase, a bit difficult. However, these picks are just going way too fast, so Lazy Panda has decided to lock in that Jarvan the 4th. He's going to have some nice little synergy together with Sion, so much lockdown that Cannon cannot really run away from. However, he will have that Storm post level 6, so he'll be able to relatively sustain himself in that laning phase.
Right, and on the other side, we have Kha'Zix once again for resourcing. He had a fairly good game 1 in these teamfights, finding some picks. Mostly Coin stole his spotlight, but Galio now, that is a pick that has been banned for so long that I actually haven't seen it played for weeks.
Yeah, so Galio did get gutted in 9.2. He did receive a small buff. It was a what's the thing? A fix, I suppose you could say, where he now deals still some damage. However, it isn't as oppressive as it used to be. However, together with this Kha'Zix, he's still going to have so much lockdown and so much damage that Orianna and Champion of Ashe opting for the cleanse, still he's going to have a really hard time playing against this really aggressive jungle mid combo.
Right, and you have Lucian Nami for the bot lane of Tejn. That is a very aggressive bot lane that can just punish literally everything. And on the other side, Falcon and Rasmussen playing Jinx and Braum. Not the most lane-centered duos that are out there. So how could we expect this bot lane matchup to develop?
So I do believe that Lucian is going to have an easy time with bullying Falcon out of the lane, especially with Nami. He can go for these short little trades where Jinx just pretty much loses, unless Falcon can abuse the added range with those rockets on her Q. She's going to have a pretty difficult task ahead of herself, as Nami will be able to heal anything, any sort of poke that she decides to put onto this Lucian. I do not believe that we're going to see a very early all-in, as Nami isn't the support that generally does that, mostly just poking, and most of our attention should still be on this mid and jungle duo, in this case of Coin and Resourcing. They will be able to do a lot of good for their own team even before that level 6. Galio doesn't rely on his ultimate in lane, and Resourcing can really benefit from that taunt, from that knockup, and they can pretty much instantly wipe this poor robot lady off the face of the earth.
Oh, definitely. When you have got that lockdown coming in and the damage from Resourcen, it could be absolutely huge, and literally finding anyone from Crater can net them the kills. But I'm looking at Lazy Panda Jarvan. He likes ganking even more than Sejuani does, in my opinion.
Yes.
And putting him on that champion could spell many good things. Which lanes are we looking at him to potentially affect? Because in the bot lane, Lucian can't just escape, whereas top lane Kennen, he doesn't have any extra mobility apart from his E, and neither really does the Galio.
So post level 6, Jarvan can look to gank even the bot lane, as he will have some setup in the case of that glacial fissure. However, I am also looking at him going into the mid lane, so we can see some 2v2 skirmishes popping up around the early game, because Jarvan, he can serve as the ball delivery system. I like to call it that because that's the official term, I suppose.
That is the proper name.
Yes, he can just jump onto Galio, and even if he flashes away, he can get pulled back by the Orianna ball. So whoever comes first into the mid lane is going to have an easier time. Now, the lanes for Jarvan, they all spike pretty damn heavily around their level 6. Mid lane, bot lane, even top lane, they all have pretty good power spikes there. Resourcing can utilize this fact, and he can start ganking both mid and bot lane as well as top lane before the level 6s are hit. So look at the pathing, look where Resourcing decides to go, because he can go frankly to any single lane.
Correct, and last time we saw Crater in that early game, they had some nice map moves and they had that 1-3v3 fight, and the way with which Tejn pretty much got ahead was through calling in the team fights. Well, on a Galio, you're not necessarily the person that wants to pick up all of the kills. Yes, some of them you probably do, but I am just looking at how can the carries for the side of Tejn, and now actually Knut on the Kennen himself, whether they can do the similar thing as last game, which is just find out one mid-game team fight and then get your advantages from there, because that is what we have seen Tejn do. This pretty much answered the question of whether they can win from a even early game. Yes, they can if they find the fight. So now, well, we're going to have to see if they can repeat that.
And we're going to see the dynamic switch a tiny bit, as now you said it right. Koing isn't going to be the main carrying force of Tejn, it is going to be Hekatos, and in the first game he was a bit unable to really do anything just because he was playing Vayne, who scales and scales and scales and just pops off in hard into the late game where we didn't get. So him on a Lucian pick I am really excited for, because we may see him just popping off completely. We may see some really early skirmish kills in the bot lane. Remember, Resourcen, he can go into the bot lane, he can go to the mid lane, he can go to the top lane, and if he does decide to prioritize this bot lane, he will have so much damage. And if this Lucian pops off, it should be a game over for the side of Crater, because he played well as that Vayne, and the auto attack range isn't too different from Vayne and Lucian, so in this case they are really similar champions.
Definitely, and Lucian is much more early game centered. That is not a secret. You can dish out the damage, which means that Hekatos, he now has even more possibilities of actually snowballing the game rather than waiting for his team to be stronger, or just waiting for the items and then carrying. So I'm just excited to see whether Hekatos can do this, or whether Crater can they just stop the same thing from happening. Now we went into the game, the support is DC'd once again, so we'll be waiting for hopefully a few more seconds, maybe minutes.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll have to see once again. Of course, we are used to this. We're the Kerem Kachka podcast, the KK podcast.
Yes. Do not add additional letters.
Yeah, no, just don't multiply 1 by 1.5. I don't know my maths.
I mean, that's correct. 2 times 1.5 is indeed the Illuminati.
Regardless,
yes.
Let's talk a bit about the mid lane matchup, because something that I noticed in the first game was that Champion of Ashe, he wasn't precisely how do I say this without sounding rude, not farming well, because Lissandra has the ideal matchup into Akali pre-level 6, and already before that level 6 was hit by Koing, Champion of Ash was already losing out on about 10 creeps, and it just widened and widened, and as Coin got more and more kills, the CS discrepancy became so huge. Now, I am hoping that he can farm on this Orianna well, because if he cannot, he will lose a lot of these creeps, as he will be pushed under his turret if he cannot match the push of Galio on this Orianna, which, again, ideally he should be able to do. But again, if he cannot really precisely farm, it should be spelling a lot of trouble to the squad of Crater. Yes, Crater.
I mean, you know, maybe Coin decides once again that, hey, you know what, I could give Champion of Ash some extra 400 golden dives at level 6. On Galio it's significantly more difficult, so I do not expect that, but... You know, Champion of Ash, yes, I agree, he did slightly struggle in the middle against Coin. He had that one kill, which, you know, good for him. Yes. It got him some nice gold, but yeah, many things to look forward to, and generally the whole side of Crater does seem like a composition that just wants to get to these team fights, because, well, early game Jinx, Orianna, unless they get rolling, it will be very hard for them to do anything.
Yeah, they do not precisely have 3 losing lanes. They have 1 losing lane in the bottom, and the top lane can be a really terrible lane for Styx to play after Knut hits that level 6 on that cannon, especially if Resourcen decides to pay a visit. So it is all going to be once again on Lazy Panda's back. Can he relieve every single, well, every single, but most of these lanes to, you know, make sure that they do not fall apart? They need to get into the late game. If they get a couple of kills on Jinx, that's great. Jinx is a hyper carry that can snowball pretty well, actually, as soon as she has a couple of items, the mobility that she gets is pretty insane. So maybe a couple of kills on the bot lane would be great, but once again, Lazy Panda, he needs to step up. You talked about this quite a few times. He is a jungler that has been stepping up more and more as of late, but alas, today he hasn't really shown us that he is that proactive jungler, and let's just hope that he's going to have a different game phase for this one.
Definitely, and if Tejn can secure this win right now, then they will be sitting at the top of the table, undefeated alongside Lyra. That would be their 4th 2-0 win, so Crater, they probably want to spoil that, if not for the reason of stopping Tejn, then for the reason of getting the points themselves, which, well, probably is the reason.
Yeah, I feel like when you play a competitive league, you want to get points for yourself rather than the opponent.
Yeah, no, you want to stop the opponent from getting points. That is a viable strategy. I feel like, though, it's a secondary one, as Tejn, they are once again moving as F5 on that level 1. They seem to really like this strategy. Maybe this time they will have more luck in finding some more advantages than just a flash.
This is quite literally mirrored as in the first game, except now it is Falcon instead of Styx.
And there is no long-range binding, so Tejn, they will just move through the jungle. They will set up some of their vision, hopefully. Maybe even try to go for a cheeky steal. Rasmussen is trying to just spot them out on the invade. He will finally see them. Not sure if he is in too far. There's the Shield of Durant from going flash for the bubble connects as well. And Rasmussen isn't going anywhere. Hecatus picks the first blood.
I'm sorry, but that was just an int. The Rasmussen pretty much just inted that kill away. I hate being super critical, but he stood in that little bush next to the pixel brush in the bottom side of the river. He didn't move away as soon as he saw the invading army. And then, well, he just died. He gave 1 kill away, and that is sitting now on Hecatos. He is the person that we are looking at if he wants to snowball. Now he has an additional kill. That's not something that you want to have going into the laning phase.
Definitely not a long sword to just add some insult to injury, and that bot lane could turn very sour for the side of Crater. We'll have to look how it turns out. Lazy Panda, he could be looking for an early gang bot lane. Flag and drag is available, and forcing a flash early from Knut could prove to be very useful later on. Desmending Smash does get this slow in, and Lazy Panda finally forces the flash from Knut. That is the cannon flashless for the next 5 minutes.
Really important that now, as soon as Cannon hits that level 6, he is going to be unable to just flash and ult onto Styx, which does take away the ganking route that Resourcen would likely have to pick into the top side. Now, the junglers have set up vertical jungling, which is going to hurt the side of Crater a bit more, because once again, the side of Tejn, they want to snowball through bot lane, and now you have Resourcen sitting in there constantly, just pressuring the bot lane of Crater more and more. So I'm a bit unsure if Lazy Panda is getting the right call right now.
He will stay in that top side of the jungle. He'll have opportunities to maybe try and shut down Knut, but as he said, snowballing either Jarvan or the Sion is not nearly as good as snowballing the Lucian, and that is what could be happening for Tejn. Of course, diving Jinx and Braum can be tricky, but if you poke them down significantly before that and get your Galio to join in, then that is a very viable win condition for Tejn.
Definitely is. Now, speaking of the mid lane, Champion of Ash isn't lacking any creeps, at least right now, compared to Koing. So hey, that's nice. Another silver lining for this mid lane is that Koing doesn't have the flash. He was forced to flash taunt onto Rasmussen. So that is once again another possibility taken away from the hands of Tejn, as Lazy Panda, he's looking to gank.
He is indeed, but Resourcen is also... That is the knock-up onto the Jarvan, and Koing gets an easy kill in the middle lane onto Lazy Panda.
And, well, Resourcen played pretty much perfectly around the vision that was set up, or rather, not set up from the side of Crater. He was just in the fog of war, just running around from the bot side of the map, so Lazy Panda couldn't see him until he turned the corner, and when he did, it was too late. He was standing right next to Koing, and at that point, it was just an easy pickup for the side of Resourcen. And now, Koing has got a kill. That's lovely. It's Galio in preseason meme.
You know, but yeah, getting another kill on the side of Tejn, just closer towards that 2000 goal lead at 4 minutes, and this time they are really trying to snowball this game hard. Top lane is pushing in, Styx is getting just poked under his turret. However, Lazy Panda is looking for a gang in the bottom lane. He does find the flag and drag onto Hecates, who forces the flash, and he's trying to dish out the damage. Yelperin has not got the flash himself. The Aqua Prison connects onto the Lazy Panda. There is a teleport, however, coming in from, I believe that is Koing. The Galio now joins the fray. The taunt will not be found onto Rasmussen. Hecates is still dishing out the damage onto Falcon. Rasmussen is in a tricky spot. He should be able to make it out in the end. The teleport is coming from Koing. No kills going through into any of these teams. Just a trade of summoners in the end.
And a good teleport from Koing.
Oh, look at the top lane. Okay, never mind.
It's okay, it's okay.
He did drop very low.
And well, since we're already in the top lane, Knut is doing such a good job of just poking Styx down and forcing him under his turret. I said that, well, it's not the worst matchup playing against the cannon. That is presuming that you do not let him hit his Qs, the shurikens on you. So far, Styx has been eating so many of them that it's no surprise that even with the corrupting pod, he is forced back at 5 minutes. And so far, a healthy gold lead being developed on the side of for the side of Tejn.
And Koing and Hecates are the two people with the goal lead, and Hecates is just summoning away in that ball lane trade. Falcon dropping low. And these are the two people we talked about. These are the guys with the highest KDAs on Tejn, the people that are being played around. And what they are the ones with the kills this game. Just, you know, Tejn playing well around their people.
Yeah, pretty much the most scary situation that you can be in when you're playing against Tejn. That mid lane and bot lane having a couple of kills, especially now that they are playing something like that Lucian and that Galio. And I want to point out, Koing is building Lost Chapter. He's going for Luden's Echo on Galio, I believe.
And right now, bot lane of Crater is just going to get off. There is the heal entrance. Falcon dropping low, and Hecates picks the kill. That is a total to Rasmussen, and the dive executed perfectly by Tejn. However, in the top lane, there is trading as well. Knut gets knocked out. He will be traded back. Flash is available in just a short second. Will it be enough damage? It looks like, oh, Crater don't actually commit, and the dive in the bot lane goes unpunished.
Really nice from Knut. He just managed to run away, you know, he just survives with this little squirrel alive, but really well played, really well juggled that tower aggro on the side of Tejn in the bot lane. Once again, a few kills going into the pockets of Koing and Hecatos, and it's going so much faster than in the last game, as Crater are going to be really, really terrified facing every single one of these carries of Tejn.
And if we have seen anything from Tejn in last game, is that when they have the lead, they will snowball it unrelentlessly, calling 100% kill participation, involved in all of the kills. As you said, he will be building that chat damage Galio, and he will be packing a strong punch. And once he hits his items, I don't believe that Crater will have any reasonable answer to his damage.
They will have to wait, and once again, they need to have Lazy Panda coming around to mid lane. I mentioned that, well, you can look to shut Coin down. That was before the picks and bans even happened, and I still will stand by that. If you get this lovely, lovely Galio statue of a man down a couple of times and give those kills over to the Champion of Ash, you can have a really good mid-game spike on this Orianna. As soon as she hits Luden's Echo, she will start hitting like a truck. But for that to happen, she needs a few early kills because, well, the CS lead isn't being built up on Champion of Ash's side.
Definitely isn't. Coin just having a few CS more. If you look at the farm across the other two lanes though, Knut is doing a very good job in the top lane, being a whole wave ahead, and Hecatus, as we have predicted in that bot lane on Lucian Nami, is just building a lead onto Falcon. Therefore, Crater, as the mid game slowly approaches, they don't really have any points from which they will be able to build up their mid game.
And now keep your eyes on bot lane. Hecatus has hit that level 6, and so has Nami. So many engage options now from them, and so much damage that'll be headed over in the direction of Crater. Rasmussen, they are a bit... they're going to be hitting that soon as well, so the disengage is there. But every single lane is just getting pushed by Tejn, and they are just slowly starting to choke Crater out.
Slowly but surely, Lazy Panda is sticking around that bot side. He will be looking for a potential counter gang or a punish for any sort of dive, but the hero's entrance is available once again for Coin, so you really have to watch out when you're Crater, because these dives are just so potent.
They are really good at diving. They are allowed by the hero's entrance on Galio to do so. He hasn't even hit level 2, but look where he is. He's just standing.
Aqua Prison connects onto Falcon. There is the Unbreakable, as well as the Glacial Vigil committed from Rasmussen. Does not find the knockup. He's dropping very low already. Lazy Panda joins the fray. He flags and drags, goes in with the Catalyst onto Yelpin. But here are 4 members of Tejn joining in. Coin on a killing spree already. Falcon and Rasmussen under the turret. 2 versus 4. They will have to get the hell out of here if they want to stay alive. Looks like they will be able to do so, but turret falls in favor of Tejn.
Crater are just unable to do anything. Coin was sitting for so damn long in that bot side river. He was waiting for his opportunity, and as soon as he got it, he went in and he stole the show. Well, once again, another kill heading into the pockets of Tejn. That took me a bit. But now, Crater, they have to start, firing back. They need to start doing something, and maybe Lazy Panda can go into the top lane where Styx has just been getting bullied over and over again and try to repeat that gank that he once tried to do, because he still does have that setup there.
He does, but if you look at the gold lead, it is just so huge. 5,500 currently sitting in favor of Tejn. Coin has got the Sorg boots. He will be recalling, probably completing that Luden's Echo anytime soon. Blade of the Ruined King completed on Hecatus at 11 minutes, and a Proto Belt for Knut. On the other side, you only have the composites. For Crater, the damage disparity is so great that I just don't see them win any fights for the next 5 minutes unless they find the perfect setup, which is going to be a hell of a challenge.
And one more thing to point out, I believe that it is Coin that hasn't been back since he had 0 kills. So he is currently sitting on a lot of gold, and I do not believe that he's going to be able to purchase Luden's Echo outright, but he's still going to be hitting like a truck, similarly to the rest of the lineup of Tejn. And so far, a really, really well played early game. This is the spot where they want to be, where we have seen them so many times. Like I asked, are they able to play when they're even with the other team? Well, yeah. And now there is the already answered question of, can they close out the game when they're ahead? I do believe so.
The evidence suggests that, and yet they have closed out every single game. Yeah, they played, but also every single one when they got ahead, and with a lead like that, it will be it should be relatively easy for them as Lazy Panda. He has to commit the flash. Resource is still on chase. He flashes forwards and tastes his fear as he takes down Lazy Panda. Hands him over his third death of the game. The jungle pressure is so immense.
Yeah, well, Resourcen is definitely stepping up more in the second game than in the first one. In the first one, he was really unable to do too much. Of course, he did still get nice ganks in, but in the end, it was all about Koing. In this game, it's all about him, together with Hekatos, of course, but still Koing is as well having some nice little ganks. Now in the top lane, Styx just runs away. Acceptable, you know, understandable. I feel like if I were Styx right now, I would run away as well, so...
Dude, in that bot side, he's positioning very aggressively. He's got a slicing Maelstrom, but 2 versus 1 could be a difficult show. Oh, he goes in already, Slay! Falcon got so much damage on the cannon. He completes the 1 versus 2. Lazy Panda joins in. Another challenger is approaching, but looks like that challenger doesn't want to fight it. Oh, there's the Cataclysm actually. Knut is forced to fight. There is the Lightning Rush, and the Hero's Interest is coming in. Koing for the rescue. There is the Flash Stone, and Knut on a killing spree gets 3 kills just like that. The Tejn in the top lane falls, and Tejn, are they even stoppable at this point?
Well, it's at the edge of, well, being completely unstoppable.
Champion of Us just gets deleted in the mid lane. Oh, actually, Resource and the stop was...
He's still gonna die.
Oh, no, he won't.
Okay, so because he went into the Zonia, the scaling damage of the turret hits got reset. So that's why he didn't get bopped, but instead he got as if it were the first turret hit firing at him. And so he survived. Nice and great stuff all around. And I have to also say, he used a bit of the unsung hero, but Knut is so good on this cannon. He has been doing his job of just bullying Styx out of the lane, and now he knows the turret range. He just turns the fight around completely. And Crater, they are in dire straits.
They definitely are. You only have now completed the Stormrazor on Falcon's Jinx. Nowhere near enough damage as you want it to be. Knut is just deleting you. Koing actually not going for the Lunar Cycle. He does switch to the Protobelt. Not sure where that lost chapter actually went. I think he sold it, didn't he?
I'm not... Yes, he must have. I'm not sure. Maybe he took it just to make sure that he can stay up to date with Champion of Ashes Wave Clear. That's a possibility. I was hoping that we were gonna see Lunar Cycle. Come on, that's
yeah, the full AP Galio. Come on.
He toyed with the strings of my heart, and
unfortunately he did, and now he's toying with stakes, but that adaptive helmet is doing its job and making sure that the Cyan does not die as easily. And Tejn, well, they will not get the super perfect game because they didn't get all of the platings, but this is looking like a potential for the traditional perfect game. As Knut, he is going on to the Champion of Ash. You've got the Shockwave available, and that cannon is doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, just so dominant on this cannon pick. It's insane, really. He's just building, well, he's building AP, and he's not even grouping with his team. He's just split pushing because he's just so damn comfortable on that champion. Well, speaking of champions, Champion of Ash, he was tasked with shutting Koing down, especially that he was on a Galio, and he was really unable to do that. And now 2 Cloud Drakes actually picked up by Tide, so silver lining for Crater. They're not Infernals.
Yes, and the next one will be an Ocean, so they're not Infernals anytime soon, which means that there won't be that much damage, but still... the disparity is there. Champion of Ash, he should be able to get the Lunar Cycle on the next recall, but that is 60 minutes into the game. And if you look at the other items, Hekatos already sitting on 2. Knut has now completed his second one alongside the boots. Ardent Sensor is nearly there for Yelpren as well, and the Baron isn't even spawning right now. Tejn, they just need to plow through these turrets. Once the Baron spawns, it will be so hard for Crater to come back.
Yeah, they have just 3 minutes for that Baron to spawn in, and as soon as that happens, it should be really a game over. As sure, okay, Crater, they do have Wave Clear, they do have Orianna, they do have Jinx, but that range isn't too flattering when you're against the composition with a Baron buff. Now in the mid lane, they don't have a Baron buff, they have a Rift Herald, that's okay. Knut is in the meantime pushing out the wave in bot lane as well. Right now, perfect split.
Yeah, the 5-man stack of Crater has to be committed to take down the Rift Herald, which just leaves Knut to take that turret out. The wave clear is there for the AP cannon. Now, Champion of Ash as well as the Lazy Panda could be looking for some sort of punish, but it will not be actually enacted, as the pressure that Tejn is mounting is just too much for Crater to cope with, as the military is now the focus. Falcon drawing already very low. There is the close range of Zasmus and Pops break away the wrong way, Knut jumping into the fight with assassination. He's looking for Falcon, quite not able to find him. Hekalas is on the killing spree. In the meantime, Tejn is still winning the fight. 3 kills already, 4 kills, make that a full ace at 18 minutes into the game. Looking to break open the base, no Baron buff on the map, no problem. 15-0 in kills, Tejn just smashing Crater.
And Tejn, they just fight under the turret, they do not care. Resourcing gets the perfect flank on behind the enemy lines. Koing then utilizes that. He jumps in with the hero's entrance. In the meantime, Knut goes into the base, of course, with that nice little shock, the slicing maelstrom. Well, he gets a few people down as well. And now Baron buff will be spawning in a minute and a half. And the side of Tejn, they are uncontested as they start setting up the vision around this objective.
And you really have to wonder how powerful Tejn are overall in the Division 2. They are looking nearly unstoppable on their way to a 4th 2-0. And yes, Lyra technically has the same score, but if I would have to choose the more dominant team, well, Tejn definitely looks like one right now.
So what we see when comparing these two teams is that Tejn are really, I'm gonna repeat it, I cannot stress this enough, really coordinated. They split the map perfectly. They set their win conditions, which is keep Cannon on the flank with that teleport and utilize him to just push wave after wave, and then the rest of the team can play that 1-4 composition where they just try to teamfight as soon as they can.
Flashes forward and that's it on the Lazy Panda. The jungler for Crater is just wiped off the map like that as the Baron is spawning.
And Koing with these taunts, Lazy Panda hasn't been able to get the flag and drag once into safety because Koing is always there. He always procs it as soon as Lazy Panda is ready to just jump out of the sticky situation, and that is why the lovely jungler for Crater is now sitting at 0-6.
A really tough game for the Lazy Panda and really well played by the side of Tejn. They are still looking for that perfect game. Will they be able to achieve it? Resourcen he's going for the knife onto the champion of Ash. The shockwave comes out. Flash as well. Resourcen, will he die? The heal from Hekatos saves the perfect game.
The perfect game dream is alive, boys and girls, as Resourcen, he jumps in, he jumps out, he gets healed, he gets put a band-aid on himself by this lovely cowboy man, and, well, once again, another kill. There isn't really much that Crater can do right now. Now, the side of Tejn, it's difficult to really explain because generally you can have teams that are good only with certain picks and only with certain champions. Now, Tejn have showed us that they do not necessarily need one specific team comp to go ahead and just snowball the game. In the first one, they had a passive bot lane and they had a snowballing mid lane. In this one, they have snowballing bot lane and a relatively passive mid lane, so they are really good at just forming these win conditions, forming these team compositions, and I'm really looking forward to that one match against Lyra, because as you mentioned, it is going to be for the first spot. You ask me who I favor, and well, in this case, in the picks and bans, and in the execution overall, I believe that Tejn may have the upper hand in this.
They might, however, coming back into this game time, they are on the Baron. Lazy Panda is alive, he's got that flag and drag. A miraculous Baron steal is crucial if Crater want to win the game. The level disparity is only 1, the Baron is dropping time, they do not look like they want to turn behind the pit. Knut has got the flash, he goes behind the pit, there is the slicing major, he obliterates the side of Crater. Coin is unstoppable, 2 members already down, Styx is cut down by the Calling, Hekatos picks himself a double kill as Falcon cannot run away, and with 4 kills going in favor of Tejn, they will be looking for the finish. No Baron needed. Psych, that was just a bait. We'll take your entire team, we'll take your base, and we will go for the perfect game.
And a good night and sweet prince. I salute you, Crater. That was wonderful from Knut. That's what happens when you have a cannon on your team. You can just flash and use the Slicing Maelstrom to lock everyone down. So much combined CC on the side of Tejn, and the perfect game. We got it. As the second one, really well played from Tejn. I have to say that they are a team and a force to be reckoned with because, well, we've seen what they can do to teams today.
We definitely have. First game, it was kind of slow, then it went very quick with a Coin Pentakill. Second game, a perfect match. Nothing really that you can criticize them for. Tejn just playing this one out so damn well. Now sitting undefeated as well at the top of Division 2. You know, it really does look like Cepheus from the first half, if I have to say myself.
Oh, do you believe that they're Cepheus? Kinda. Yeah. I mean,
I would say they're actually a more dominant Cepheus.
Yes.
Let's take it one step further.
Yes. Yeah, I would accept that comparison. They really dominate in this second division. I believe that they may be also able to take on some teams from Division 1, judging by how they play the game. However, so far they have been just able to roll over everyone thus far, and so I believe that they are one of the biggest contenders to just win this whole thing because, well, they're shaping up to be a pretty big super team.
They definitely are, and if you look at the side of Tejn, who do you even shut down? Because I feel like everyone has stepped up at one point. We have Knut on the cannon this game, Resource in both games on that Kha'Zix doing a good job. In the second one, I feel like he did have his spotlight stolen by Coin. Coin in game 1 Akali, nothing more has to be said. Game 2 Galio also solid dives. Hekatos on the Lucian snowballing. Game 1 Vayne as well, just in that once he hits his spike really good, and Yelpren on that Morgana for game 1, and then a solid Nami game. Really, who do you even try to shut down? Because I don't feel like there is a single person on that team that is underperforming, at least from what we have seen today.
Yeah, Tejn have showed us that they can play through every single lane, that they work together as a unit, and that individually they are a bit step above the other teams. Now, Crater, of course, they weren't defenseless. There were some moments when they didn't actually fall to individual outplays. No. That was more in the first one, where Coin pretty much obliterated everyone. In the second one, they lost because of rotations of the side of Tejn. They were able to just macro outplay the entirety of Crater because you had Knut in the top lane just forcing Styx under his turret so he could not join a team fight. You had Coin sitting in the river for I don't know how long, around a minute, just waiting for the dive, and then the side of Crater engaged, and it was a goner for them. It was just really lovely to see them play. Now, of course, we are getting the MVP votes, so ladies and gentlemen, please, there will be the links shortly, and make sure to go vote, because I feel like some people deserve it today.
Some people do, more than one, definitely. Which is, well, tough choice for you guys. I gotta say that. But hey, you know, Tejn just played it so well. Let's maybe talk a bit about Crater, because let's not hide it, they just got stomped today. But it was Tejn, and in game 1 they did look good for the first 50 minutes. So what do we really take away from them coming into their further games in this split?
Well, they are one of those teams that currently don't fit into the contemporary meta. What I mean by that is that they are a pretty passive team. in the pre-show, we talked a lot about Lazy Panda and how he has to step up. He hasn't done that. He hasn't been super proactive, and he got out-jungled by Resourcen. Now, in the second one, he tried to do something in the mid lane, but he got just shut down simply because of a lack of vision control. And so, for Creator to really be able to do something, they're going to either have to expand their champion pools, or they're going to have to learn how to play that early game, because so far what we've seen in this Wintersplit thus far, it is, you know, really beneficial. So really beneficial to just be able to play that early game, because you can just shut everyone down. Well, Creator like to play around late game. It ain't working out for them so much. We'll have to see how the 9.3 is going to affect them. Maybe, you know, the crit changes are going to make the meta stall out into the later stages of the game, in which case, you know, maybe they can come back, but alas, they have to sort of innovate in their whole playing department, because else we're just going to see stomps like these.
We are, and taking a quick look at the MVP votes, Tejn, it's balanced.
It is.
I'm not surprised. We've got Hecate or Koing slightly now breaking the lead, but it's very close. Koing now has the 4 points, and Hecate and Knut have 3 points each, which pretty much matches what we have said. All of these players being just very good at what they're doing, playing the game well, and it's hard to pick one of them.
Yeah, that's what they do. They play the game well. That's their job.
That is their job, and our job is to make sure that we recognize that and appreciate them, and then my job is to scream at them as well.
Yeah, and make sure that we don't play the game as well, because, well, we're pretty crap at playing, let's be honest.
I'm gold 1, by the way, so you know, high low.
I'm a rank above you.
Ah, screw this.
Nice. Okay, what else is there to do? Yes, tomorrow we are going to have yet another game. It's not going to be casted by me. And on Tuesday, we're going to have a game of, who is it? Tejn versus
Pegasus.
Pegasus, yes. And that is going to be a really hype matchup, because we talked today that Koing was really confident, maybe to the borderline point of being cocky, that he was going to run over Gimmick. Well, we're going to have to see if that is true. And Kachka, do you want to, you know, be a bit of a sellout?
I do want to be a bit of a sellout. Okay. This is going too far.
Yeah.
First of all, we have a sponsor, guys. So first, shout out to them, Gamers Class, in which you can learn from good people like Frogan about how to be good at League of Legends. So, you know, check them out if you want to be actually good, like Tejn, you know, be like them. And then apart from that, follow us on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. Join us in the Discord if you are new to this stream, and because we will post the future games there when they go live. And I was Kachka, and I was joined by Karim, and we wish you good night.